LKW Family Mediation, and welcome to this Friday's Facebook Live. I hope that you had an enjoyable long weekend with the Easter break and that you were able to take a break. Sometimes it's not always as simple as it being a bank holiday. In this Facebook Live, I am talking about the third in the series of blogs that I've been doing focusing on well-being and looking after yourself during a separation. And I think it's one of those things that it's not always a really easy time to take care of ourselves in separation. You know, it can be like riding the crest of a lot of waves, and I think there's a temptation for a lot of people to think, I'm just going to get through this and then I'll pick myself up, sort myself out, lick my wounds, whatever it is that you feel like. But I really believe, and certainly my experience of working with clients going through a separation over the last 17 years, is that taking care of yourself and making yourself a priority during that time can really change the way that things work out for you on a number of different levels. I think firstly, having the mindset, the belief, the intention that you're going to put yourself first really comes into its own in any decision making, because you have made that decision to put yourself first. And so any decisions you make are very much from the point of view of what's going to be good for you, what's okay with you. And that's a very different headspace to come at things rather than the mindset of just getting things over and done with. So I think that's really important. I also think that once things are done and dusted and you're moving on, if you have been looking after yourself during the separation, it's going to be a much easier journey to pick yourself back from that place. Whereas if you have completely neglected yourself, it's much harder. Partly because you may have more of a journey to get back to where you feel you need to be, or to get to where you feel you need to be. But also because you're going to have to unpick a lot of habits of stuffing down emotions or ignoring how you feel or not making yourself a priority. So when I say look after your well-being in a separation, I'm not talking about having a monthly spa day, although that would be lovely if you can. I'm talking about having little practices that prioritize your own health, your own needs, and your own well-being. So I thought it might be helpful today to come at this from asking some questions to you. So if you're going through a separation, or if you're supporting a friend or family member or a work colleague who's going through a separation, here are some questions to ask yourself. Do you believe that you're putting yourself first and looking after yourself? Do you think you're making yourself your own top priority? And sometimes asking a similar question in a different way can provoke a different response. If you feel that you're maybe not making your own well-being a priority right now, then what do you need to take better care of yourself? What is it that's missing that means you're not looking after yourself, putting yourself first where you can? Sometimes it can be permission. Sometimes it can be permission from ourselves, and sometimes it can be permission from other people around us. So if you feel that you don't have permission to make yourself a priority, to look after yourself, to be taking care of yourself, then whose permission do you feel you need? I would encourage you to check in with yourself on that and think about where you're at, if there is someone's permission that you feel you need to take better care of yourself, and whose permission is that? And ask yourself, what is it that makes you feel you don't have their permission, and what is it that makes you feel you need that permission? Time can be a factor, particularly in a separation, because often you still have to work or take care of children, and going through a separation can almost be an additional job in itself, with sorting out paperwork and making decisions and just dealing with the kind of emotions that come up, which can be exhausting. So if time is a factor in your own well-being, then what I would suggest you do is to look at one small change that you can make to try to get something in your calendar that's focusing on you. And that might be just getting outdoors for a walk. And if you know that you've got children, you may take them with you, despite all the moaning and the lack of Wi-Fi or whatever it is that is a barrier to your children enjoying that. And it doesn't, when people talk about getting outdoors, having some time outdoors, which I passionately believe does make all of us feel a bit better, I think sometimes there's a barrier to that because there's a sort of mindset that if it's not a kind of swift 10-mile hike, then what's the point? And I have absolutely been guilty of this myself in the past, that I, haven't really got time to go for a walk. I've got other things, haven't got the right boots with me, didn't realise I was going to be here. Weather's looking a bit suspect, not going to be able to go very far. What's the point? All of these things are the excuses that I have definitely made. And when I was talking earlier about going live at 12, I shared a photo on Facebook. And that photo was a photo I took yesterday in a place near me where I went for a little meander in the woods. And I was on an online call yesterday and someone said to me, "What are you doing for the rest of the day?" And I said, "Well, working, of course. There's clients you have to see, there's paperwork that I have to do, there's administration involved in running your own business." And after the call ended, there was a little voice inside of me that was saying, "You really need to do something, look after yourself." And in the end, I took a half-hour break, which was my lunch break, I suppose, and I went to the woods and I just had a little meander through the trees, looked at the bluebells. I just paused. I tried to make an effort to breathe deeply and to really take in my surroundings, listening to what I could hear around me, the birds, the trains in the distance, other walkers around. And I really did feel the power of it for the rest of the day. And one of the things that I think happens is that when you do little things like taking 30 minutes out of your day to connect with nature or to do some meditation or even to just take a breath and not be running at things at 100 miles an hour, I think you're kind of tuning into your body a bit more. And what tends to happen is that your body then gets used to that and prompts you to do things. And yesterday, I really felt that my body was prompting me to say, actually, you need to look after yourself and maybe you just need a little bit of a break right now. So I think that's really important, to just try and make a small habit, even if it's once a week, for half an hour, just going somewhere with his nature. And it doesn't have to be some secluded wood. It can just be a park or even going and sitting in your garden or a friend's garden. And if you make that a habit, then it's more likely that you will be prompted, if you're not making that a habit, and feel that you are taking care of yourself and that you're getting the benefits of that. And that kind of makes you want to take even more care of yourself. And, it's like starting anything new. You have to start with making the habit to then try to build on that. So in terms of the time, I really think it's important to think that it doesn't have to be, long periods of time that you find. It can just be whatever works for half an hour. Money can sometimes come up in well-being as well. And, whilst there are things we can do for our well-being that cost money and involve paying other professionals or being able to access fee-paying services, there are also a great many things that we can do that don't cost us any money, like getting outside, like just taking a minute to pause for breath, like when we're doing our weekly or monthly, however you food shop, buying food that we know is good and will nurture us rather than food that is less nurturing. Things like that. It doesn't have to be expensive. Or if you know that you've got a small amount of money that you can spend on your well-being, really give some thought to what you're going to get the greatest benefit from. Is it learning a new skill that you can use to help yourself at home? And that kind of empowering yourself with knowledge is really where mediation comes into its own, I think. One of the really great things about mediation is looking at the situation in your separation and asking, what tools do I need to enable me to resolve this? And as a mediator, my role is to either give the tools to a separating couple to enable them to find a solution that works for them, or to help them to find those tools. So when I think about well-being and improving well-being, my logical thought process is to think about, right, what do you need to enable you to take care of yourself? Whether that's permission, whether that's carving out some time, whether that is reframing things so it doesn't need to be an expense that you have, or whether it's knowledge that you need to understand how to take better care of yourself. So I would really encourage you to think about what you've done hitherto this point to look after yourself. And is that still working for you? Because sometimes when we separate from someone, things can change. Maybe we don't feel the same way about things as we did before. Maybe some of the things we did to look after our well-being, we did with our partner that we have separated from, and that's no longer either appropriate or available. So have a think about what it is that has nurtured you in your life, and whether that still feels like it's nurturing for you, and whether that's still available to you. If it's not, then you need to start thinking about what it is that might help you to just feel that you are being nurtured and taken care of. And sometimes there can be a tendency to think, right, that's it. I need to make huge changes. I need to be doing yoga twice a week. I need to be at the gym for 3 hours. I need to live on green smoothies and pulses. Slow down. If that's going to help you, then fine. But if that's going to last for 3 days and then you're going to crash in a heap and feel lots of recrimination that you're not managing to keep it up, then don't do that to yourself. Start by making one change at a time, and make it things that are manageable, things that you know you might be able to stick to, and see how they go. Work with that for a few weeks and see, is that helping you to feel a bit calmer, a bit more peaceful? What is it that you want it to change for you? And then check back in a couple of weeks, in 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and say, right, I've managed to stick to this for this length of time. Is this helping me with my well-being? And again, I would really encourage you to think about what well-being means for you. What is it that you would like to feel more of in your life? Is it that you want to feel a greater sense of calm and peace? Is it that you feel you need to get away from all the things that are going around your head for a period of time to just focus on something completely different? What is it that you would like to feel more of in your life? And how would that contribute to you feeling more well, better taken care of? Those kind of things. And start with one change and see how that goes. If you feel able to incorporate that and keep it going, then think about making another small change and see how you go with that. By making small changes, I think that you are much more likely to be able to stick to it and to make a difference. And certainly I know that from my own life. You know, I have to rein myself in sometimes because I'm running a business. I am trying to keep everything going in my business, as well as being a parent and fulfilling the other roles that I have. And I know that sometimes I have a tendency to kind of go, that's it, things need to change. I'm changing everything in one go. And it's just not sustainable. And the other thing is that you can't tell what change has made the difference for you if you do see a difference. So you're better off starting with small changes, one at a time, to see what happens. If you're not sure what you want to see more of in your life, you're not sure what would contribute to a greater sense of well-being, then maybe ask yourself the question in a different way, which is, what do you want to see less of in your life? What is it that you don't like in your life at the moment? And try to be really specific here. I know that this is a question that if I ask in a variety of different ways in a meeting with a new client, the answer will often be the ex-partner. But I would urge you to go deeper than that and say, right, what is it that I'm experiencing when I see my ex-partner? What is it that is causing me the difficulties when I meet with them? So that you can really hone down that feeling, because if you've got children with your ex-partner, you're going to need to see them and have a relationship with them going forward. And often the strong emotion or the negative response you get when you see them is as a result of an emotional reaction around fears, around things that have happened, all of those kind of things. So I would really urge you to try to dig more deeply into that to work out exactly what it is that you would like to see less of in your life. Is it less anger? Is it less tears? Is it less waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning feeling really, really anxious? Try to hone down what it is you'd like to see less of in your life, and you can then make a plan as to how to try and move away from that bit by bit. And as I've said in previous, in the last blog post in this series, don't forget that you may need some extra support with that, particularly if it's things like anxiety, depression that you're wanting to see less of. And you can talk to your doctor in the first instance to try to find out more about what services might help you. And don't be afraid of asking people for help at this time. And asking for help is a funny thing, right? Because lots of us are happy to give help, but for some reason we feel that we shouldn't ask for help. And yet if you say, well, how would you feel if someone asked you for help? The response is often, yeah, I'd be happy to help. I'd like to help. So this is the time that if you feel you need help, ask your trusted friends, your trusted family members to help you, and be specific about what help you want. If you want to be able to go for a run, go for a walk, go and sit somewhere on your own, ask them, would they mind being with your children for half an hour so that you can do that? If you can't face cooking nutritious meals for yourself, ask a few friends and family members, when they make dinner for themselves, would they mind making an extra portion for you and your children or whoever you're cooking for, so that you've then got nutritious food that you can have in your freezer and get out without you having to cook it. If you don't ask people, you're denying them the chance to help you, and they may want to. So I think it's really important to remember that at some times in our lives, we need to ask for help and we need to exercise that muscle. I hope that this has been helpful looking at how you can look after yourself during a separation. As always, if you feel you need some help with managing your separation or helping someone you're looking after manage their separation, then sign up to get our free resources and free help that we send through. You can do that by going to bit.ly/LKW Fam Med List. And if you're a professional that works with couples who separate and you'd like to access those resources for your clients and get details of what training events and workshops and networking events we have coming up, then go to bit.ly/LKW Fam Med Sign Up. And if you feel that this video has been helpful for you, can I ask you to please share it? Because looking after yourself in a separation is something that I think is really important, and I don't think enough people know about it. So if it's been helpful for you, please share it, either privately with a friend or family member, or on social media, Facebook, Twitter, whatever it is that you use, so that other people can see it too. I'd be really grateful. Thank you very much and have a great weekend. Thanks for being with me. Bye-bye.